Hope springs eternal around Major League Baseball. Spring training underway. The MLB map with Craig Mish. Live right here on this Thursday on the Early Line. Craig, thank you for joining us here on TEL, the host of Newswire, our Major League Baseball insider all across the SportsGrid network. Craig, again, we appreciate the time. I'm going to be at a spring training game in just over 2 weeks down in your neck of the woods in Palm Beach, Florida. I'm getting ready to go. I can feel the baseball in the air.
Which game are you going? Did you end up doing Jupiter or Palm Beach? Which one?
Which one is Roger Dean? Would you consider that Jupiter or Palm Beach?
That's Jupiter. Yeah, no,
Jupiter.
that's Jupiter. Okay.
Yeah,
You said
Roger
Palm Beach
Dean,
is
Chevy
a
Stadium.
little bit further south. Yeah, a little
Right,
like 10 minutes away from it. Yeah, okay.
Spring training home of the Cardinals and the Marlins.
Yes.
I am going as a part of a large group and festivity on Saturday, March 9th to see the Amazons, the New York Mets, take on
I
the
have bad
Redbirds, the
news
St.
for you
Louis
for
Cardinals.
that game. They announced there's no alcohol served on March 9th. It's the only day. So sorry, Ben.
Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Don't pat us down then. Very good luck there. So, Craig, as we get ready for a new Major League Baseball season to begin, we showed a list yesterday of some of the free agents that are still outstanding around MLB. Blake Snell, Cody Bellinger, Jordan Montgomery, and Tim Anderson, the former Chicago White Sox, was on that list as well. What do you know about what Tim Anderson's status is around MLB?
Yeah, Ben, look, I think that we could get some resolution on this as soon as today. And look, again, a lot of things can happen between now and an hour from now or 2 hours from now. But this is, clearly something I'm watching because it has to do with the Marlins. But in my opinion, and again, this could still go a number of different ways, is I do think he's going to end up signing with the Marlins. So I think he'll take over there at shortstop for them for this season. Money in terms of where that is still remains to be seen. And by the way, not official yet or anything like that. But I do think that Anderson is going to be a Marlin. I do.
Yeah, we'll see what the numbers come out to be there, but that's nice to have a veteran shortstop there and also with some pop down there in South Florida. We'll see how it turns out. Now, if he does end up being a Marlin, maybe the guy he's not going to face early in the season, Senga here, Kodai Senga from the New York Mets. Looks like he's down already with shoulder issues. And correct me if I'm wrong, Craig, is this an annual rite of passage here to enter in the baseball season with arm fatigue and or shoulder problems for superstar pitchers in the Mets? What's going on up there?
It's a very rare situation, Donnie. This generally doesn't happen a lot with the Mets. You think back in history with some of their best pitchers like, Matt Harvey or Jacob deGrom or Verlander or Scherzer. So here we are again. Look, I don't know. It's still very early on to tell if there's anything to this. Pitchers have – I know it sounds crazy to have arm fatigue very early on in the spring, and you're like, wait a second, this guy hasn't thrown. How can this be? It happens to everybody at different stages. And Senga's pretty much been an Iron Man wherever he has pitched. So rather than sound the alarms yet, I'm going to wait to see this play out a little bit more because, again, opening day still far away. It is, we forget, this spring training first game start today with the Dodgers and Padres, but we don't have any games outside of those two teams until March 28th. So there's plenty of time for him to get ready at this point. If he needs a week or two off, it shouldn't really affect anything.
So bummer for me and the group of 15 joining me on Saturday, March 9th at Roger Dean Stadium. No alcohol and no Kodai Senga is what we can expect for the spring training affair between the Mets and the Cardinals. Craig, you mentioned spring training games actually beginning. The Dodgers featured in that. They were the story of the offseason. Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Glasnow. The list goes on and on for what the Dodgers added up in the payroll, and now the World Series favorites at plus 320. What I find interesting, though, knowing how random a sport baseball can be in a postseason run in October, less than $1.50 of difference between the Dodgers and the other heavy hitter from the league, the Atlanta Braves. So, Craig, as you evaluate L.A. with Shohei Ohtani only as a DH this year and not on the bump, how much farther ahead do you think L.A. is from the rest of Major League Baseball?
I think they're further ahead, Ben, in the regular season for the rest of Major League Baseball. But it's just like turning into the NCAA tournament in a way, Major League Baseball. Yeah. And you like Arizona getting to the World Series last year. It's like you can't predict this stuff. So, look, in the end, they're going to win probably 100 games or more. So they're going to be 30 or 40 games ahead of most teams in Major League Baseball with the stacked lineup and the pitching staff that they have. But I don't know that that equates to a World Series. I just don't think you can buy one of those anymore. But I do think that there'll be a juggernaut during the regular season. I know their win total is, if I'm not mistaken, like 103.5 or 104. I've never seen a team that high. And I've been following this a long time. So, far be it from me to say bet the over on that. But I do think that 100 games is certainly within reason. And the other thing, too, is that they could have everything wrapped up going into the last week and then not really care to play in the last week, too. And that could put them under, too. So I usually stay away from those very low ones and very high ones.
If we're asking around Major League Baseball, keeping with the Dodgers here, Craig, like what's the surmise of them being that, let's just say they're so talented, such a large payroll? Do people just say like, oh, we hope to chase them down? Or is like the vibes in other locker rooms, like the Braves, the Astros, the Yankees, Rangers, and Phillies? Like, yeah, you know what? They're a good baseball club, but we can certainly take them down.
Yeah, look, I definitely think, to me, Donnie, like I just keep picking the Braves every year and they fall short in the postseason. So to me, that's still the team that, barring injury, they are just so stacked start to finish. I was actually looking at some rosters right now because, again, there's some free agents that are still out there, and try to make a case for anybody to crack playing time in Atlanta. Like, if you can't do it, they were just so loaded in that offense, especially, too. The pitching, I suppose anything can happen with them. But Atlanta, to me, Donnie, again, is still the team. That Philadelphia is going to be there in the end as well, as we saw last year, too. But Atlanta this time around, I would guess, in July, if they really want to make the big push toward the World Series, I think they're going to probably have to alter their thinking a little bit and say, hey, look, what we have looks great. It may not be enough. Let's make sure and get something else of significance, which they didn't do last year.
So you saw that playoff potential, the postseason map, if you will, before even the first game of 162 began. The Dodgers are a minus money favorite to be the top overall seed in the National League playoffs. The Dodgers are a minus 390 favorite to earn that opening round bye. Both the Dodgers and the Braves are an odds-on minus money favorite to reach the National League Championship Series, which would be the NLCS between Los Angeles and Atlanta. Craig, is it going to be that easy this year in MLB? The Dodgers, the Braves, NLCS, let's just fast forward?
No, I don't think so at all. I think that there could be others involved, no question. Arizona's fortified their team, and I think they'll be really good. We're still waiting to see if the Cubs end up with Cody Bellinger. If they end up with him, maybe they even take a bigger step and end up with another player as well. There's still free agents out there. As you look at basically the way that they judge this now, by the way, guys, with free agency is WAR. How many wins above replacement are these players worth to teams? Is it 2? Is it 5? Is it 7? Very hard to get to those numbers. You still have a couple of players that are out there that are worth that could move the needle. So I think we have to wait and see how it plays out. But if Bellinger goes back to the Cubs, you've got to clearly put them in that conversation too. Those 3 teams on that graphic that you showed, the Dodgers, the Braves, the Phillies, to me, those are the 3 I'd put Arizona 4. I don't know how the Cardinals factor into that. To me, they don't. And the Cubs, I still would have to. I mean, maybe there is some value of taking the Cubs now, but I don't think that Bellinger automatically puts them into that top 3 conversation.
Craig, about 40 seconds left in this segment. Quick thoughts on the American League. The Astros, a slight favorite, plus 380, 10 cents in front of the Yankees. The defending World Series champs, the Rangers, third best price at plus 650. Who has your eye first and foremost in the AL?
Yeah, the 4 teams that you have there at the top, Yankees, Astros, Orioles, Rangers, I think is all very conceivable. I think there's a possibility of all of those teams getting in. But the one team every year that we never discuss because they're boring and every year they're in there, Ben, is that the value is always going to be on Tampa Bay. I mean, it's just always going to be on the Rays. They're going to go over their win total. They're going to be in the postseason. What happens in that spot? A break here, a break there. Now they're in the ALCS. Never rule out the Rays. I've learned that a long time ago.
We will hear more from Craig Mish at 11 a.m. Eastern on Newswire. We're back on TEL in just a few.